I want to welcome you to Unlock the Power of Custom GPTs for your business. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Andrea, and I've been using ChatGPT for almost 2 years now, and I made my first GPT last year around this time. And since then, I've built probably 20 more. I know I've built quite a few. I've deleted some that I didn't really like, and I've built more. And most of them were for me to use in my business, but I made some that others could use. Like I have a lead magnet ideas generator that other people can use. I had it in the GPT store for a while, but I actually removed it. And I've made some other GPTs that I've included in my courses to help simplify complex tasks. So the goal of this workshop today is to introduce you to custom GPTs, from understanding what they are and how they can benefit your business to showing you the steps for creating your own custom GPT and 3 mistakes that you want to avoid when creating your custom GPT. All right, so let's get started. What is a custom GPT? So custom GPTs are versions of ChatGPT that you train in a specific area or to perform a particular task. Now, this specialization allows them to be more efficient and effective in those areas. You want to think of custom GPTs as like having a specialized assistant. And just as experts in various fields have unique skills and knowledge, your custom GPT will be trained on the details it needs to handle a specific job. And so that way you don't have to repeat instructions every time you use it. Why would you even create a custom GPT? If you're asking ChatGPT to help you with the same task over and over, a custom GPT can make things much simpler and faster for you. For example, if you're always asking ChatGPT to help you brainstorm ideas that are tailored to your customer avatar, you can create a custom GPT trained on your customer avatar. It will remember the details it needs for the task. So there are a number of advantages to creating custom GPT. The first is you don't have to start from scratch every time. With regular ChatGPT, you need to provide it with specific details when you want it to help you with something. You need to include like your target audience, your brand voice, or even specific requirements. And you have to do this whenever you start a new conversation. But when you have a custom GPT, you don't have to do that, as the custom GPT is already set up with this information. And so it's ready for you whenever you want to use it, which saves you so much time. And because you trained your custom GPT on the exact details it needs to know, it's able to provide you with more relevant and personalized responses. Plus, it remembers the details. You know, regular ChatGPT is so amazing and can help with so many things, but it requires you to constantly explain what you want it to do, along with providing it with details it needs to help you. You know, like your business details, information about your customer avatar, or even your brand voice if you wanted to write content that sounds like you. And this can take a lot of time and can sometimes be really frustrating, especially when you have to ask it to do the same task over and over again. And I will say it sometimes forgets. I don't know how many times you've experienced this, but you find yourself re-explaining the same things over and over to ChatGPT because it doesn't remember. But with a custom GPT, it's trained on those details, so it won't forget them. And the best part is you don't need any technical skills to create a custom GPT. OpenAI has designed the process to be super easy. All you need to do is provide it with instructions and any relevant details it needs to know. Now, I will tell you the cost of creating a custom GPT through OpenAI is free, but you need to have a subscription to ChatGPT's Plus plan, and that's currently like $20 a month. With the free version of ChatGPT, you can actually use custom GPTs that other people make, but you just can't make your own custom GPT. So now that you know the basics, let's look at how you can use custom GPTs to help you in your business. The first custom GPT I created was my customer avatar GPT. I use it all of the time, and if you've attended any of my previous workshops, you've probably seen me use it. It's great because it's trained on my customer avatar. So instead of having to constantly provide ChatGPT with details about my customer avatar, my GPT is trained on all of the details it needs to know to help me. And it saves me so much time because it's always ready to help. I don't need to spend time providing it with information or remind it who my customer avatar is because it already has all of the details. Plus, the content I get is personalized and tailored to my customer avatar. And what's really great is I don't have to worry about writing the perfect prompt. I have it trained so I basically just have a conversation with it, which is really nice because I don't know about you, but I prefer to talk to ChatGPT like I'm having a conversation and don't really like having to construct the perfect prompt to get the right answers. So let's talk about some other custom GPTs you can create for your business. Let's start with content creation. Now, there are so many different ways you can have it help you with content creation tasks. I'm just going to mention a few. The first is writing blog posts. You can create a custom GPT to help draft and structure your blog post, one that helps you with course content. If you have a newsletter, you can create a custom GPT to generate ideas and write your newsletter. You can have one to help you with your podcast. You can train it to draft your podcast scripts or even write show notes for you. You can have a GPT that's focused on SEO to help you write articles. And you can even create one that can help you repurpose content. You can create custom GPTs to help you with creating content for social media. For example, Facebook ads. If you want your Facebook ad a specific format or a copywriting formula, if there's a certain way you like to do it, you can program a custom GPT for that. If you write carousel posts and you like a specific format, you can train a GPT for that. It can also write video scripts for you if you do Reels or TikTok videos. You can have it write LinkedIn posts, pin descriptions, and even YouTube descriptions. And also for business and your personal life, you can train a GPT for goal setting to help you set goals or even outline your action plan. You can have one as a business mentor to help you make decisions in your business. I actually created a business mentor and I trained it on information about my business. And so 5 questions, or I wanted to outline the pros and cons of a decision or something I want to do, I can use that. You can also have one that's like a daily journal to ask you questions or suggest topics that you could write about every day. You can get help with your fitness. You can have it suggest workout routines tailored to your preferences and abilities. You can do one for meal planning. I actually did this since I'm on the carnivore diet, a spreadsheet, and wrote all of the different meat that I had. And then for the knowledge, I uploaded the file to the GPT, and then I asked it to help me plan my meals. There's some sort of health goal you want to work on, you can provide it with information about that, and it can help you. You can also create custom GPTs for other people to use. And I mentioned this at the beginning, that I've created custom GPTs for other people. I've created quite a few. One is my lead magnet idea generator. I created a metaphor idea generator, an expertise helper that helps you discover your expertise and suggest course topics for you, an avatar creator that takes you through the process of creating a customer avatar profile. For those of you that have taken my courses, you may have used this. I have one that's a brand guide creator that creates a brand guide tailored to your business, a brand voice analyzer that takes you through the process of creating a writing style guide. And I even created a GPT that's a testimonial writer that helps people write testimonials using their own words. And so as you can see, there are so many different applications for custom GPTs. And I just want to show you the GPT store real quick. So what you can do is you would go in and you would click on Explore GPTs right here. And then they have so many different GPTs that you can use, or just to get ideas of what type of GPTs you can create. And some of them are actually really good. Some of them are disappointing. I know I used a, I want to say download because I'm thinking apps, but I used one for plants. There's one that OpenAI created that's specifically like a plant GPT that gives you advice on your plants, which is really cool. So if you have time to go through the GPT store, you can get even more ideas for GPTs that you can create. Let's talk about creating a custom GPT. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to define what you want your custom GPT to do. You want to decide who it's for. Now, you're going to create this GPT just for you to use, or are you going to create it for other people? And you want to write the instructions. You want to write out exactly what you want the GPT to do, like if there are specific steps you want it to follow or details it needs to know. And then you want to gather the necessary information or files. For example, if you're creating a GPT that's trained on your customer avatar, like I did, you'll want to create a file that contains the details about your customer avatar that you want the AI to use. And I will tell you that although GPTs can perform a variety of tasks, their accuracy really depends on the quality of the instructions and the data that you provide it. So if your instructions aren't clear or you don't provide the AI with the necessary information, you will not get the results you want. And I do want to say, because I'm a privacy person, that you want to make sure that you consider your privacy. And for me personally, I'm very careful about what details I provide ChatGPT. And although I do provide it with basic information, I don't really give it all of the details about a course I created or a framework I developed or even personal information like my name, and especially not my address. What you need to do is keep in mind that when you provide ChatGPT with details about you and your business, OpenAI can use it to improve their model performance. So it's important that you make sure to read their privacy policy so you can understand what they do with your data. And there is a way to turn it off. Let me go into ChatGPT and I will show you. You'll go into up here at the top on your name and then click on settings. And then you want to go to data controls and it says improve the model for everyone. I have it set to off. So that way it's not going to capture my information, or supposedly it's not going to capture my information. So if you're concerned about your privacy, at the very least you want to do that. So let's talk about the 3 common mistakes to avoid when creating a GPT. And the first is not giving it a specific purpose. You want to make sure that your GPT is trained for one specific purpose to be effective. If you try to get it to do too much, it can get confused. And so that's why it's kind of best practice to make sure it's a single well-defined purpose. Next, you want to make sure that the instructions are clear. You know, the key to having a custom GPT that does what it's supposed to do is having clear instructions. If you just provide it with a prompt, you're not going to get the type of detailed results you want. And although the instructions you provide are somewhat similar to a prompt, they should be much more detailed and include some different elements than what you would include in a prompt. This really depends on the type of GPT you're going to create. You may need to upload a knowledge file, but one of the things I will caution you with is you want to be careful not to overwhelm it with too much information. And at the same time, you don't want to include too little information. And so if your custom GPT needs knowledge files, you want to make sure to only upload the content that directly supports its purpose to keep the responses focused and relevant. Like I said before, the only way you're going to know for sure is through trial and error. Once you create your GPT and use it, you may find that you need to refine your instructions or even update your knowledge file. All right, so now that you have all the details, let's do a demo on how to create a custom GPT. So what you want to do to create a custom GPT is you go up to the top again where I have my little circle name here, and you click on My GPTs. And then you can just click on Create a New GPT. I recommend if this is the first time you've ever created a custom GPT that you start with the Create tab. And all you can do here is just basically tell the builder what you want to create. You can just give it some basic information. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say very briefly, I want to create a custom GPT that will help people name their kitten. You know, to start by asking the user for the gender and color of the kitten, then suggest 10 different names. It should work with the user until they decide on a name. And so then it'll say, how about Kitten Name Finder? And I'll say, okay. And this is just a very fun, basic this GPT to create. And actually, if you're doing one, it can just be fun to get started. And so it's going to create a profile picture. And you never know what we're going to get with a profile picture. And sometimes this can take a lot of time. But oh, that's kind of cute. So I'm just going to say it's okay. Which is not terrible. It's actually kind of cute, and I like the coloring of it. Now it says, I'm all set. Feel free to try it out in the preview, and if you'd like any refinement. When you go into the Configure tab, you can actually see the details. So if you don't want to use the Create, or you can just use the Configure and then give your GPT a name, a description, and then you want to write out the instructions. And then we have these conversation starters here. So say you don't like this conversation starter, you can just exit out. And to be quite honest, you don't really need to have conversation starters if the GPT is for you. You can just remove all of them. But if you're creating a GPT for somebody else, at the very least, you should have a conversation starter that says get started. And then down here, if you have knowledge files, like for this kitten finder, what I could do is I could upload a file with the most popular kitten names or different guidelines I want it to follow when deciding on kitten names. For my customer avatar GPT, I uploaded my customer avatar profile here. And you also, if you upload a knowledge file, you need to make sure in the instructions that you let it know that there is a knowledge file and what it should do with it. Otherwise, if you just attach a file, it's not going to know. I always just check all three of these for safety. You never know if you're going to use it, and I don't want to have to go back and have it not do that. And then the actions, these are actually more advanced and beyond the scope of what I'm going to get into in the training today. But basically, they let you access third-party applications. So you would add like an API. For example, if you want the GPT to perform a specific action like sending an email, you can connect it with your Zapier account, and you would need to copy the API from Zapier into this section. And so it's a little bit involved and kind of beyond the scope of what I'm going to talk about today. I think I've covered everything in here with creating GPTs. One thing I will tell you, just to finish it off, when you're done, you click on this create up here. And this is where you can select to have it only you, anyone with a link, or you can put it in the GPT store. It's up to you what you do. And then you click on save. And I recommend that if you want to have other people use it or put it in the GPT store, what you do first is put it to only you until you test it to make sure that it's actually working the way you want it to. And then you can go back in and change the information. So if you want to edit or update your GPT, you would just click here and then click Edit GPT. And you can go back in and edit any of the information. And one of the things I learned is it doesn't always give the best instructions. So you want to make sure that the instructions are clear. One of the things you can also do is if it's not working the way it should, you can have a conversation here and say, it's not doing this or doing that, and it can change the instructions for you. Oh, one of the things I did also want to show you real quick, if you're working in your custom GPT, so I'm in my customer avatar, Sarah here, and say I asked it for blog post ideas, and I have some really great ideas, and now I want to write my blog post. I have a GPT that writes like me. And so instead of having to go out, click on my new GPT and say, all right, write a blog post about this, what I can just do is bring it into the conversation with the @ symbol. And then from here, you can search any GPTs that you have. And so it brings up my GPTs, and I'm just going to click my email writer to show you. And I can bring it into the conversation, and then it will use the information in this GPT for what information I ask it here. So I can say, please write content for the blog post. And then if you want to leave the conversation, you just click on the X here. And so you can actually have a conversation with multiple GPTs. What else you can do is if you start a conversation in regular ChatGPT, you can bring your custom GPT into that conversation. So let me do kind of a fun example. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT for blog post ideas. And who knows what we're going to get because we're not giving it any details about who the posts are for. All right, so now we just have some random ideas here, but watch and see what happens when I bring my custom GPT into the conversation and then ask it for ideas for my customer avatar. Look at how the ideas are now for Sarah, my customer avatar. Now, GPTs are great, but what if you want to use Claude? For those of you that use Claude, projects are somewhat similar to custom GPTs. The major difference is when you create a custom GPT, you can share it and give other people access to use it. And you can't do that with Claude projects. So let's go into Claude and I'm going to show you how to create a project. What you do is you go and click here on Claude and then click on projects and then create project. And I do have the paid plan for Claude. I'm not sure if you can do this on the free plan, but you would give it a name and then a description if you want. And then here is your project. And what you do is you can add content to the project. This is where you would upload files. Like if I created actually a project for my customer avatar, the same as my GPT. And I actually think it works really well. What I did was I uploaded my file for my customer avatar profile, and then I want to give it instructions. And so here you would add the instructions similar to the instructions that you gave your GPT. And so if you have Claude, it's actually a super simple interface. You don't have to worry about conversation starters or anything like that. And the nice thing is when you use your project, any chats you've used with this project will show down here. That's all I have for you today. I just want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking time out of your day, and I hope you got value from what I showed you and that you're excited about creating a custom GPT. And before I let you go, I just want to tell you that when you create a custom GPT, you can start with something fun, like the Kitten Name Finder that I made. That way you can get comfortable with the interface and writing out the instructions.